Talks honest. Talks honest. Talks honest. Talks honest. Hello and welcome to Talks Honest. You are tuned in to iLive Radio UK, changing the way you listen to radio. I'm your host, Miss Law, and this is a platform and an opportunity for you to discuss topics never spoken but often thought of. You can connect with us by contacting 0208 638 8503 or www.uk.iliveradio.com.
What if we spoke honestly? 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 What if we spoke honestly?
Today's topic is beauty of the black woman. And joining me on today's show is Miss Mode.
Good afternoon.
Hi. So, beauty of the black woman.
Interesting topic. Very interesting topic, I must say.
Yes, and the reason being we're going to go a number of places.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you think about the beauty of the black woman, being a black woman, how does it make you feel? What thoughts run through your mind in general?
I feel we are the trendsetters when it comes to our beauty, because I feel there's other races that want to kind of, can I say, appropriate our style, our look, you know, for example, you know, our lips. I mean, we can go back a bit. So I'm going to just interject a second. So as a black woman in society, there are perceptions of us as black women. And those perceptions are generally taken or seen in a negative light. Like you were just about to say, you touched on lips. Yeah. And we're going to go back there. So lips being one of them. Yeah. Bottoms being another. Yeah. Hair texture, a major one. Yeah, our hair protection styles.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when someone else who is non-black or not a person of colour, they see us in a different light from how they see themselves, which is obvious. Yeah. And some people might say, well, it's not really obvious because everyone sees himself differently. Now, but as a black person in society, we're never looked at in the same manner as somebody with blue eyes, silky hair,
blonde hair,
brunette, whatever it may be. If you're of the Caucasian background, then you're seen slightly different from someone who is of colour and is a woman. Now, perceptions hold a lot of stigmas on us, and people's perceptions tend to make us feel like we're not adequate. Yeah. Because they have their obvious reasons, which we will talk about. My big thing is perceptions and how people see us, women of colour. And let's not get this twisted in any possible way. We come in all different shades. Yeah. We have all different hair textures.
Hair types, yeah.
We have different lip sizes. And we all have all different bottom sizes.
Yeah.
But I think that applies to every race. And that applies to Caucasian people as well. But what it is because we're people of colour, I think we stand out more to them because we're not socially accepted.
Yeah.
So we become that eyesore.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look back through history, the standard of beauty was, you know, the thin lips, the as you said, the silky blonde hair. It wasn't even really about the brunette hair to a certain degree, but you had the blue eyes, the blonde hair, and you know, you had to be of a certain size, be slim, and you know, it was kind of, for us as black women, they looked at us like we were at the bottom of the pile. Like they didn't understand or wanted to understand about why we may have broad noses, you know, thick lips, wide hips, big bottoms. And, you know, for some, because like if you look back in like African history, the body shapes wasn't, you know, stick thin, sorry.
Yeah.
They were curvy.
Yeah.
And very strong women.
Yeah.
Right? But going through slavery, it was forced on us that our beauty was trash.
Yeah, we had no worth.
We had no worth. We were basically nothing.
Yeah, that's a lot to do with demoralizing us, taking our self-worth, stripping us basically of all of our identity to the point that we felt worthless.
Yeah, because it was bombarded all the time. So mentally now, you've kind of accepted that, yeah, I am worthless.
Yeah.
My beauty is not beautiful.
Yeah.
There's been investigations with young children when it came to buying dollies.
Yes.
They would always go for the white doll.
Yeah.
When they were asked, well, why not the black doll? She's ugly. Now that's been taught.
Yeah. You see, that's very, very sad because I get society has a perception of us, but who are society to us? You know, we fall into these stereotypes. Yes, I get that because we're in a world that's predominantly white. And as a result of that, we're subjected to certain things that we possibly have no control over.
Yeah.
And because we lose ourselves along the way, it causes us to have that identity issue, you know, not value ourselves.
Yeah.
For the color of our skin, the texture of our hair, you know, the way that our lips are, the way that our bottoms are. So that's kind of like that in someone's mind. You know, you look in the mirror, you just start to self-hate.
Yeah. And then with that self-hate now, as a woman, you become a mother, you have a child. And then some women are very particular, black women are particular with the person they choose.
Yes.
To have a child with, because there's been times where they've actually said, I don't want a dark-skinned child.
Yeah, I actually, it's really weird that you say that because I have actually heard that.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of troubled me. Especially the person being dark.
Yeah.
When they say that they expected their child to come out or they thought they were going to be lighter.
Yeah, because of the partner they chose, they thought, oh yes, it's a no-brainer that my child's going to come out brown skin or light skin. But then when the child is born now and you see it's a dark-skinned child, it's like it's a disappointment for them. But it's what they've been probably taught and passed down. And it's like
they haven't broken that mental cycle.
Their subconscious is still, their thought process is that way, and they action that out.
Yeah.
So they don't even realise they're doing it sometimes.
That's right. And then as the child grows, they kind of, the mother will take it out on the child saying, oh, you're ugly. So when a child hears that on a regular basis,
they start to believe it.
They believe it. They go to school. Other school children who are brown skin or light skin will pick on that child and say awful things, you know, to that child. And that's where you get those studies with the, as I was going back to, with the dollies.
Yeah.
And they would rather choose a white dolly over a black dolly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of them ones where you have to kind of take it in. Yeah.
You know, it's quite troubling though, because as much as within ourselves, we love ourselves.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we don't love ourselves fully. I get that.
Yeah.
Because we find faults within ourselves, be it our hair, whatever it may be, that is different from the Caucasian.
Yeah, or even to our skin, because I'm not dark skin. I'm, you know, brown skin, or people say I'm light. Because when they see like my arms and all, they'll be like, oh, you're really light, aren't you?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I do love my skin. I'm very proud to be a black woman.
Yeah.
But sometimes when, like, if I go back to today's society where it's kind of being embraced more to love your skin, I look at black people's skin and I'm like, I'm just in awe of the dark skin, because it's just, when you see the sun hit that skin, the glow.
It's funny that you say that, because even for myself, when I'm here for a long duration of time, I get very pale.
Yeah.
So I make it my duty to stay tanned. And then people will say, oh, you're always tanned. And I'm just like, yeah, because I feel better in myself when I'm tanned. Now, that could say a lot about myself, because do I feel when I'm too light that I'm not socially acceptable? You know, so you know, sometimes you do things and you don't actually realize why you're doing, but you do know why you're doing it, if you understand. You're doing it because you want to fit in, you know, because people have mentioned, oh, you're a bit light, or oh God, your
like you're really light, aren't you?
Yeah, or your skin's not, it's a yellowy color or orangey color. Like, okay, but then you don't really, you see that as a problem. So then you try to fit in by being a bit darker, or, you know, exposing yourself to the sun, or doing things that, you know, you have that opportunity to be browner. Yeah. So, but when we really think about this, it's like, you're actually, it's like, you feel like you're self-destroying yourself, because you look in the mirror, you don't like what you see, so you do something to change that.
Yeah.
And as simple as going in the sun, like, you're born a colour.
Yeah.
Because people make you feel a certain way, you feel you need to do something to enhance the look that you have, just to fit in with society.
So then again, it's like, do you really love your blackness? Because no matter what, to other society who is like non-black, they see you as black. You know, with the black community, they will pinpoint, so, oh yeah, you're either mixed with something, or do you have this in your family and this, that, the other. But to others, you're black.
I think that is where the problem actually lies. I get that another race will see us as black, because that's what we are. However, when you go within your race and your race sees your shade as an issue or a problem, or questions that, your blackness, that I think becomes another issue. Because now it's internal racism.
That's right.
And I can say it's racism. Or colorism, so to speak.
Colorism, prejudice.
At the end of the day, it all boils down to the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But you feel kind of isolated, which isn't the way you should feel amongst your own.
No, because at the end of the day, I'm so glad in today's society we're seeing a lot more dark-skinned women being represented and highlighted more, and I'm very happy for that. But it's like you get some people who, you know, they have their own little clique kind of thing. So yeah, the dark-skinned people here, the brown skins, the light skins, it's kind of all separated, and it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be that way,
because it's not my fault I've got this skin colour.
But I think what it is as well is society play a big part in this, and media play a big part in this, because what they do is they push a certain type of black through the infrastructure. And as a result of that, it creates resentment from others. So, you know, if you're not looking a certain way, you feel that you don't have what it takes to be up there. But then again, on the flip side, then where they've gone for very, very dark models, which I find like they've gone for the Ugandan models and stuff like that, they're flawless. That beauty is just like to die for.
It's just like you could look at them and you think like, wow,
like really, wow.
And it's like, you don't want to, like, especially if you see one,
you stare
and you just stare, and they look thinking like, oh, what's she looking at? Like,
and you just want to say, you're just beautiful.
You're just beautiful, because it's just like your skin is just flawless. Like,
it's just awesome.
It's just all like, it's hard to explain, but it's just like, wow.
The major wow factor. The biggest issue that I see is amongst us, ourselves as women, black women, and our perception of each other. Now, the struggle is hard enough as it is. And for us to have that divide amongst us creates a real issue for me.
Yeah, it does. It does. I feel we're all one, no matter what our shade is. So I don't understand why you would come down on someone who may be lighter than you. It would be more better for you to have a sit down and discussion about why you feel the way you feel. You know, not just condemn a light-skinned person because of the, you know, the so-called light-skinned privilege. At the end of the day, that's not my fault. And as you touched on it, it is to do with society and what society has pushed out there. So it's them you need to have a problem with, not with the individual who can't help that.
But I find that, you know, society sets a benchmark and we conform to it. And that's the biggest problem, because they create something and we latch onto that. And we start to question our own as opposed to that what they've created. That's a major issue, because we don't actually identify, hold on a second, that's that divide thing going on again. Why are we conforming? Why are we paying attention to that when we know better?
That's right.
Why are we questioning each other's blackness because of the shades of our skin? Do we not know that we're one? Why do you need to beat me down over my shade because you're a couple shades lighter or darker than me? At the end of the day, we're one.
Yeah, we all come under that struggle.
It's the same struggle, right?
You know, they're still going to look at us, even if you're in the, you know, in the media, whatever, they're still going to look at you as the bottom. Yes, I know for the darker skin, I would say, the levels are a little bit more worse because they get called everything and anything. But I feel, don't hate on the person who they've booked for whatever because of their skin color. It's just to have a conversation with one another, and actually having conversation with those people who are always hiring or wanting that criteria of a light-skinned woman. She has to be, a certain size, and she has to have, either a big bottom or whatever their criteria is. Like, it needs to be diverse in our community so everybody gets that shine, not just because you're light skinned, you got green eyes or whatever, that you automatically get that part or that requirement.
We see, we don't have any control over that system. And I think that's the greatest problem. They shine who they want to shine, because it's not about us really. It's about their product or whatever they're trying to sell. They want to do the quirky, they want to do those individuals that will highlight their product or whatever they're trying to sell.
Yeah.
And for me, it's as though they're using us for their own personal benefits.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, that's what advertising is about, right?
To a certain degree it is, because if you know a particular shade of a black woman is going to sell a lot of units, then in hindsight, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had and action to be taken for it to change up, which it has started to do that in the last, few years now. It's been changing. You've seen, black owned businesses, for example, pushing for the dark skinned woman.
That's right.
And highlighting them more. But it's interesting because we talk about beauty as in skin, but even to our hair.
That's right. That's correct. We're just going to go there, actually. Like, skin is quite a major one, but moving on, hair is such a major issue.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing with that for me is hair comes in any form. We've had this conversation before.
Yeah, we have, yeah.
This good hair thing, which, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't.
Everyone has good hair, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
No matter what the texture is. However, once again, society perceives that if your hair is of silky texture, you have good hair. But having looked at recent photo shoots with models, they're going for the very, very natural short hairstyles.
Yeah, or the
afros, ball-headed. They really turned that coin, flipped it completely.
Yeah, they have. But it's interesting when you go back now. So for me, like growing up, it was all about seeing the straight hair.
Yes.
And I know as a child, and I'm assuming other black women as children done the same thing. When you're at home, you've got the towel on your head and you're swaying it about because, what you've seen on TV is a woman with long blonde hair or brown hair. And that's all you're seeing all the time, every day. So it's like, you want that.
Yeah, you want that.
Right? Even though, your parents, your loved ones will tell you your hair is beautiful.
Yeah.
But then I know in my family, my mum used to wear wigs and weave.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people wore wigs for different reasons from what they possibly wear wigs for now. Like we've had a similar conversation about when we spoke about hair. I think a lot of us are trying to protect our hair. And that's one of the reasons you hear a lot of women say like, my hair, the weather, the water, I wear a wig because of that. Then obviously you have people who wear wigs because of health reasons.
That's right. Yeah.
So there's a number of reasons why people wear wigs, but my major thing is we're talking about the beauty of the black woman. And here is a major thing when it comes to black women's beauty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's like a horse and his mane. That's immaculate. That is beauty in itself. And your hair means so much to you, or it can mean so much to you. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean a lot to you because you can be targeted for your hair. So as much as hair is something we pay a lot of attention to, sometimes hair can be people's greatest hate. We've spoken and we're, managing hair, dealing with hair on a day-to-day basis. The struggles that we have trying to maintain it, different textures of hair. And it being a task, and taking another option, i.e. wearing wigs or wearing weaves and stuff like that, so that you don't have to personally deal with your hair. Now, that's all well and good, but that shouldn't be an issue for you.
No, and it should be a thing of where, I don't know if it can be a struggle.
Yeah.
But is it a struggle because of what we've been taught about our hair? Because for some, it could be a chore where they might love their hair, but they just don't like the process of actually doing it.
Yeah.
Because they feel it takes up too much of their time. Because as we said, we've got different hair textures.
Yeah.
From the thinnest of thin to the thickest of thick. And it's like, if your hair's of the thicker side, it's like, I have to, deal with this now. And obviously it's not, for the Caucasians, it's a wash, blow dry, tie it back, and you're done. But obviously for us in the black community, it's a process.
But don't you think that, I understand we have different textures. I understand that it's a process, but I think everything is a process. And I think when you accept what you have and you appreciate what you have, I think you see things through different light.
Right.
I think sometimes when you're looking at something else and comparing yourself to that, that's when what you have becomes a problem.
And that's what's happened. We've looked at something that's been thrown on us all the time.
Yeah.
To now we're just thinking, I can't be bothered to do this, or, it's too much.
Yeah.
So I feel now there's been a lot of videos on how to manage and maintain your hair and stuff like that. And actually like going through the process and actually enjoy, doing your hair. When you comb it out, the curls that you would see in your hair for some, right? But just to actually because it's your hair, you can't, yes, you can, relax it and do whatever. But, for me who has like thicker hair, sometimes I find it a chore.
But do you think that maybe as children, maybe our parents kind of put that thought process into our heads? Because I know when I was growing up, my hair was an issue for my mum because of the texture of my hair.
Right.
It wasn't the same as the texture of her hair. So no matter what she did with my hair wouldn't stay like hers would. So in itself made it an issue for my mum. So therefore, it's about learning, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you said your hair is of thicker texture. So therefore, you found it as a task But I think when we initially grow and we learn about ourselves, it's what we hear that creates these thoughts in our heads and creates this negativity that we have towards certain things that we have. And that's where the problem actually starts, because you start to hear something and then you start to dislike what you're hearing, and then you react. Yeah. And then you act on that. And then that thing becomes a problem to you personally.
With that, I just remembered as a child, I think my mum kind of used to like be like, all right, come on, I've got to do your hair. But it wasn't like, oh, let's do your hair now. And like, it wasn't fun. It was like, because I had all this hair and, you know, as much as I used to like her doing my hair, I don't think she really liked doing my hair. Because I mean, I used to like, you know, when she washed it, because I don't know what she did, but the way she used to massage it, I never used to want her to stop. And even just to, you know, comb it and stuff like that. I loved it, but she didn't. So hearing how her tone was, me as a child, I automatically thought, oh, okay, so she doesn't really like doing my hair, to be honest. But
so that's probably where you got that from. Where you now think your hair's a task.
Yeah, so I'm just like, oh, I can't be asked. But then I have to force myself to do it. But it's weird because I do love my hair. Yeah. When I do wash it, when I do comb it out, and I tend to, once I've kind of blow dried it out a little bit, I just go in the mirror and just look at it. And, you know, shake my head and like, oh, yeah, it's growing a lot more now. Like, you know, but then I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to cut it though. I want to cut it and start all over again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, that's interesting.
I really want to do a semi-big chop because I feel it needs it.
Sometimes it's good to actually go back to basics.
And just start over growing it again. Yeah. And I think when I do that, I think I'll be more inclined to really, not saying I don't look after it anyway, because I do, but pay more attention to it.
But I feel like with hair and being in a country like this, we it's more about protecting our hair.
Oh yeah.
So therefore, I understand and I get why people will do different things when it comes to hair.
Yeah, whether they would weave it
or braid
it, have it in single braids.
That's right.
You know, whatever style, protective style they want to do, I get it, because I know for this time of the year when the weather gets cold and raining and stuff, like you don't want to be having your hair out in this weather
and washing your hair,
because this type of weather, in my opinion, is not good for our hair.
Yeah.
When you go back to whether it's the Caribbean or Africa or wherever, when you're back in your
hometown, I think
your hair gets the right nourishment that it needs, because for my hair, I don't really necessarily like using any type of chemicals in my hair, whether it's shampoos or moisturizer. I like to use something natural. So in my fridge, I've got lots of aloe vera, the actual plant. Yeah. And I use that to wash my hair.
Which is very, very good. Which is most as natural as it gets.
And most people back home in the Caribbean will use that to wash their hair.
Yeah. It's really weird because with hair is such an important thing to people of colour. Yeah. And no matter what the texture is, we take a lot of pride in our hair. Yeah. And it does mean a lot to us. And you know, when women talk about their hair, you know, it's something they like about themselves. Yeah. It's very rare that you hear someone say that they don't like their hair like that. But you get the person that probably doesn't like their hair because they've been looking at other people's hair. Yeah. And that's most of the time where you get that, oh yeah, you got good hair, bad hair thing kind of arise from. Yeah. And I think that's a lot to do with society portraying a picture that this type of hair is what is acceptable.
Yeah.
This type of hair is what we accept.
Yeah.
And we want to portray and we want to show. So it kind of gives that person who doesn't have that type of hair, makes them feel like, oh, well, I don't have that, so what I've got isn't any good.
Yeah, it's not acceptable to your standards.
Yeah.
Because, there was a time where, because majority of us had the afro here, when that relaxer came in now, as they call it, aka the creamy crack, that's where everybody was on that.
Yeah.
They wanted that hair straightened because they know they can have it sleek down and they can, curl it into whatever style and stuff like that. So, yeah, because I just remember that through the late 80s and 90s, like, it wasn't about having, the afro hair texture.
So when you think about, okay, you've just touched on something. So back in the 60s, it was all about natural hair. Mm-hmm. Then the processing hair came in.
Yeah, because remember you had the curly perm as well.
So would you say that in that transition of time, we started to there came a point where we just started to dislike what we had? Because obviously there was a lot of afros and, in that time, what springs to mind and visually is, I think of afros. And if you had a lighter hair, textured hair, and you tried to have an afro, you found that the wind kind of blew it around.
Yeah.
So it didn't work.
Yeah.
But everyone wanted to have one.
Yeah. But it's sorry to cut you, but it's interesting you say that, because even before the 60s and 70s, remember the times of the 1920s and 30s and 40s, they had that relaxer hair, and you saw, because there was if you check a lot of the old black films,
yes,
they had the finger wave hairstyle, and the men used to have their hair sleeked down.
Indeed.
So there was transitions.
So it was there.
Yeah.
So it was already, actually, you've really kind of highlighted something there, because I'm not actually thinking that far back. And now that you've said that, you're 100% correct. They were doing those styles.
Yes.
And men had quite a major involvement when it came to hair.
That's right. Yeah, because, you see them with the sleek, shiny hair. I don't know how they did it, but to get it all that nice and shiny. But, yeah, when you look at those old-time films or look at old photos, you see that.
Yeah.
And
hair was very important.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for both male and female.
Male and female, most definitely.
It's really interesting. When you talk about hair tends to eat into time because everyone has so much to say about hair. Mm. But let's move on to lips. Women of colour, black women.
Yeah.
Their beauty, lips. Very interesting also.
It is very interesting because it seems like, obviously, we have the lips, the thicker lips, which is natural for us.
Yes.
But it's not accepted by others.
Yeah.
But the others can go and have the lip fillers.
Yeah.
But for the whole society, it's okay for them to have it. But for us, it's looked upon, oh, your lips are so big, and just being derogatory and negative.
I think it's to keep us down, to make us self-hate. Because I for me personally, when I think about these things that we've discussed, it's other people that have made us feel this way about ourselves because they've made us not acceptable. Yeah. To society. Yeah. And as a result of that, now we've bought into that, and now we've started to self-hate. Yeah. And that self-hate has gone through generation after generations. Your parents, our parents, your grandparents, at some point in their life have used those sayings like good hair, skin colour. Yeah. Your lips are too thick, your nose is too broad. you know, your bottom's too big or your bottom's too small.
Yeah.
So all these things are not just things that we just randomly click of a finger and it's just there on us.
Yeah.
It's things that have been indoctrinated in us.
Yeah, for so long. Yeah.
For so long that we now see ourselves as a problem. And that's why the beauty of the black woman, and I could actually extend it to the black man also.
Yeah.
But my focus today is on the black woman. It's really interesting how we actually see ourselves. And like we're saying about lips, you know, it's not okay for us to have bigger lips, but it's okay for someone who doesn't have big lips to go and enhance their lips with injection.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't. That's what I'm saying. For us as the black women, it's like we are the trendsetters for these things that society kind of frowns upon, that we have it naturally.
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with us as a race. We're not liked for who we are, people of colour. And anything that we have is an issue for another race. So we're just not accepted. And as a result of what we may have, that's not accepted either. But it's okay for you to go out and enhance yourself with those things that we naturally have, because you have that right to do so. You have that right to demoralize us and make us feel inferior because we're in your world, so to speak.
Yeah.
I know it probably seems like it's pretty deep the way that I'm explaining this, but when you actually sit down and you quantify it, we're not in our world. We're in another person's world, a different race's world. And we're trying to conform and fit into something that isn't necessarily us naturally.
Yeah.
So that creates a problem, because no matter what you do or say, you're never going to be accepted for who you are as an individual. And if it causes you to question who you are and your whole makeup, then that in itself is quite destructive.
It is. And the fact that some of us have really consumed into that and just thought like, okay, well, we're just there. We're not on that beauty standard at that time. I feel there's been a lot more improvement these days, but I see a lot of women just being accepting and loving of who they are. And it's so refreshing to see that in this day and age, because compared to us being in our teens or younger or in our 20s, like, yeah, don't get me wrong, yeah, we would always make ourselves look presentable and look nice, but in the back of our head, we're still having that doubt about loving who we are and being proud of who we are.
Now, another thing that kind of comes to mind, you know, women's bottoms. The black woman's bottom.
Or the body itself, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go into their overall stature as well. But, you know, us always being said that our bottoms are big, and why is your bottom so big? And certain things that kind of make you feel like that bottom that you have is an issue.
Yeah.
What gets to me more than anything else, we've talked about all these different subjects, and it's not until you actually sit down, you actually think about these things, you're constantly being attacked for who you are as an individual. You're constantly being put down for who you are. You're constantly trying to fit into something that you probably never fit into because it's not your world.
Yeah.
But you're made to feel inferior. You're made to feel not accepted, not socially accepted. Like, when you really sit down and think about all these different things that we're subjected to, I kind of get why people can be really down and out and feel so worthless.
Yeah, when you talk about the bottom in general, it's interesting that if you go back through history, I think her name was Sarah Bartman, and she was basically a black woman. She wasn't slim. She was of a certain thickness, size, yeah. Right? But she was more or less put into a circus because her bottom was big.
Yeah.
And they had her there on display while the people of, who were white would look at her and laugh.
Yeah.
And basically say negative things about her body. But like if you actually sit down and think, they had a black woman in a circus.
Where animals
yeah, right?
And clowns and
right.
and things and that.
And you was there to stand there naked.
Yeah.
While these people would laugh and stare at you, throw things at you.
Yeah.
Like you was worthless.
Yeah.
Right? But then moving forward now to today, or in the last 20 years, having a big bottom is like it's the in thing right now. Like that's the fashion. Like if you don't have it, then it's like you're not saying nothing.
And you'll go to any extreme to have it.
Any extreme.
Yeah.
Even death.
Yeah.
Which is deep because, all right, I'm going to look at it through the black community.
Yeah.
There are some women who don't have a big bottom, but because now it's funny how society now shows you that and says, yeah, it's accepted, even though it was more like, because when J-Lo at the time, she had on a certain dress and like, it's all about the big bottom now. So that's where all the craze of that
came about.
And then it's like now, black women are going to have all these surgeries and butt injections. And don't get me wrong, if that's what you want to do, that's your prerogative, right?
Indeed, yeah.
For me, I would rather you be comfortable in yourself. But if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I would always say, go down the professional route. Make sure you do your research and go to these places and get it done properly. But there's been others who have decided to not do that because it's too expensive. So they go down the injection route, right? And when they go down that injection route, they're not going to a professional doctor who would know
somewhere
best.
That's inexpensive.
Right, it's somewhere inexpensive. There was a lady in London some years ago who went to somewhere in America, and went to basically like a hotel, and this woman who didn't have no credentials was given her these butt injections, knowing not telling the person or informing that when you're doing that injection, all the particles that you're putting inside that bottom, the effects that can happen from that.
Yeah. But you see, this is the thing. Vanity is one thing, but stupidity is another. And there's a lot of elements of stupidity here. When you don't have self-worth, you do things and there are repercussions. For me, I just feel you got to love yourself. God made us all different. Some are in fully have everything. Some people don't. You just have to accept what you've been given.
Yeah, exactly. But then also, if you want to do that, you save up the money and get it done properly, because there are decent doctors and surgeons out there who do a tremendous job at doing that, if that's what you want to do. Because yes, there is, it's I don't know where the balance is. I wouldn't be mad at someone who went and had that done.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about how you feel, and if you doing that makes you feel happier, then you're in your right to do so. But my advice would be to you is to make sure you're getting the right consultations and getting the right advice, taking second opinions, because anything can happen.
That's right, yeah.
You don't know what's been injected in you. You don't even know if you're going to have a reaction to what's been injected in you. You don't even know whether you're going to come out of that surgery.
That's right.
And, I get vanity, but life over vanity.
Yeah, but it's just interesting that it's now so popular compared to where people laughed about it. And
we see, once again, it all boils down to it's society driven. Everything that happens on a day-to-day is society driven.
Yeah,
it's not about, and it's about the majority. The minority don't count. So if you're a minority within that society, then whatever you do isn't really looked at.
Yeah.
However, you could be a problem, but then you could be an idea to them. So like we said, like we talked about skin color, people like to tan themselves.
Yeah.
Hair textures, people like to do things with their hair to make it look however they want it to look.
Right.
With lips, you got enhancements now. Bums, you got enhancements. So there's no end to enhancing yourself at any cost.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. But it's just amazing the turnaround of this. But what I will say is that, the beauty of the black woman has always been trending. We've always been a trendsetter.
Yes.
We've never, to a certain degree, followed any type of fashion or style. We've always had our own style.
Yeah. I mean, we hold the assets.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's important that you identify and you actually recognize what you have, because this is the key thing. Identify and recognizing what you have. When you realize that you have what you need and you stop comparing yourself to something that isn't you, I think that's when we'll be in a better place. Right now, I think we pay too much attention to social media. We pay too much attention to televisions and all those other platforms out there pushing out a certain kind of look, and we keep buying into this stuff.
I just wanted to add to that because I feel social media always has good parts and bad parts. On the good side, I feel that we're able to see black women of all skin color, all shapes and sizes, whether they're tall or short, whatever, or even if they have a disability, being highlighted more. And I'm because I feel like if we didn't have social media, we wouldn't really see half of those things.
Yeah, that diversity. Yeah, we're in those times where that is a necessity. We've travelled so far, but yet we haven't travelled enough. We always say there's still work. There's still work to be done. And yes, I agree with you 100%. Like, it's nice to see a diversity out there, diverse audiences, people able to fit into society a bit more than what they have been. So that for us is good because we're making steps in the right direction.
That's right. Yeah. So I would say for that side, I am happy to see that, and I'm just looking forward to seeing more of it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's needed, especially, for the younger generation coming up. They need to see that more.
Yeah.
So they can see themselves in that and be proud of who they are, and not to necessarily doubt themselves or, want to try and change up their skin color because they don't look like that lighter person. Like, you're beautiful.
Yeah. I think it's really important that you actually see yourself for who you are, and Embrace that. You know, when we look in the mirror, we see ourselves, right?
That's right, yeah.
That's the reflection. You see yourself. If you don't like what you see in the mirror, changing it doesn't mean it's going to enhance it. You could damage what you've actually got.
Oh, yeah.
So it's important to take a look at yourself and really see who you are and how it works for you. Yet there may be people out there that, you know, they want to have things that make them look better, but sometimes it's to make them feel better, not necessarily make them look better.
Right, yeah.
You know, because they don't have that self-esteem, they don't have that confidence, and having those changes done to them gives them that self-worth. You know, I feel on top of the world because, you know, I've had my lips done. I've put a bit of filler in my face. I've had my bottom done. You know, I've done my hair. I've done something to my hair. I've changed the colour of my skin. I've darkened my skin. I've lightened my skin. These are all things that people do because they don't like what they see in the mirror.
Yeah.
But that mirror is a true reflection of who you are.
Yeah, and I think it's more of accepting who you are and not, you know, not conforming to what society dictates you must be or look like. We are, as you said, we're all made in different forms.
Yeah.
We're not meant to look the same. If we all look the same, this world will be pretty weird and a bit like, okay.
There's my twin.
Yeah. You look the same like me. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So it's all about self-love, self-worth.
Yeah.
Just embracing who you are. If there's someone who don't like you for who you are, that's on them. That's their insecurity, not yours.
That is correct.
Right?
Yes.
And that's what you always got to remember.
Yeah. If there's one thing you wanted to tell someone out there who doesn't feel confident about who they are, what would that thing be?
My suggestion, which I've done for myself, is to get yourself some post-it notes. Write some positivity on those post-it notes. Stick them on a mirror or somewhere that you know that you're always looking at all the time, and just read them to yourself.
Yeah.
And mean it, not just be like nonchalant about it and just like, oh yeah, I am beautiful. Okay. Like, no, believe it. Because once you say that to yourself while you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you will feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
And you will not have a care in the world about what anybody else thinks about you. Because at the end of the day, as I said, that's their insecurity. If they have a problem with the way you look, the way you do your hair, you know, the way your body looks, like, that's on them.
Yeah.
As long as you're good, you're healthy, you know, just enjoy your life and just love life and love yourself.
For me, I think it's important to know yourself. Know that when you look in that mirror, you see beauty. Beauty comes in all different forms. But if you don't love yourself, you can't expect another to. So it's about self-worth, self-love, and just knowing that you are who you are because that's the way God made you. There's a reason why you look that way. You may take it upon yourself to make changes, but think about it. Who are you making those changes for? Who's going to suffer from those changes? You know, sometimes we make decisions about things because we want to conform and fit into a society or be similar to somebody else. But we are all individuals and we have our own identities. And you need to learn to love who you are as an individual. I'd like to take this opportunity for thanking you for listening to today's show. Good night and God bless.
What if we spoke honestly? 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 What if